So hey guys, I am here. I am back. I am wearing my Demogorgon shirt, so you know what that means. It's Halloween Horror Nights time. It's time for the first Halloween Horror Nights video of the season. Are you ready? I'm ready. So it is July, and for most people that means it's summer. But for us, the Halloween Horror Nights family, it means we're only 2.5 months away from Halloween Horror Nights 28. There's been announcements coming out every week, tons of information floating around there. Even just today, I was supposed to film this video over the weekend and I procrastinated, so now it's Monday, and even more information came out today. Basically, the Horror Nights gods are blessing us this season. So today I'm going to talk about the announcements that have already been released from Universal, the official news. I'm also going to talk about the rumors for the rest of the houses. I'm going to talk about some of my own personal feelings about all of that. I'm going to touch on some of the really neat stuff that Horror Nights is doing this year with the theme and actually having a website that has a theme and today's goodies that came out on Twitter. And then at the end I'm going to answer a few questions that I received on Twitter and Instagram. So let's jump into this. Let's get into the Halloween Horror Nights goodness. So first off, if this is the first ever Halloween Horror Nights video of mine that you're watching, if you're brand new to my channel, I'm Liz. I have been attending Halloween Horror Nights since 2001, and this year will be my 16th year attending Halloween Horror Nights. I missed 2 years in there, 2008 and 2002, and I still regret missing 2008, but we'll come back to that later. I lived in Orlando for 3 years, and during that time, I had the season pass to Halloween Horror Nights and went as many times as possible. So I have a lot of friends who worked the event in the past. I have a lot of friends who currently work the event. I make a trip to Florida to do this every year now that I live in Texas. We will go for a week and we will pack in as many Halloween Horror Nights in that week as possible. But for myself and a lot of other Halloween Horror Nights fans, this is a year-long event. It's not just a month or two in the fall. It's a process where we're absorbing rumors and discussing theories for a good chunk of the year. So that's my history. Let's get into the video. So first up, let's talk about some things that we already know to be true. And the first being that Stranger Things is coming to Halloween Horror Nights this year. I'm stoked for it. I'm not an IP person. I'm definitely one of the old school diehard fans who loves the originals at Halloween Horror Nights. However, this is an IP that I think works for the event. I'm excited to see it. I know a lot of other people are excited to see it. I'm expecting some major crowds at Halloween Horror Nights this year, so we'll get to that again later, but prepare yourselves. I think it's gonna be a doozy thanks to Stranger Things. However, excited to see it, interested to see how it translates into a haunted house. The other items that we already know are Trick or Treat, Dead Exposure, and Slaughter Cinema. So Trick or Treat is obviously another IP. It was a scare zone last year, so it's not shocking that they would just reuse the costumes and put it in a house. However, I do wish that they had spread it out, given it a few years off before they brought it to a house, because it's kind of like, oh, we just saw that. We'll see what new things they bring to the table when it's in a house rather than a street, but it's kind of in my category of excitement. The other two, Dead Exposure and Slaughter Cinema, are originals created by the Universal team. So Dead Exposure 2 is a sequel, it's the 2, and its original house was that 2008 year that I missed. However, I have heard nothing but amazing things about the original house, and I'm very excited to see how it translates in 2018. So I know a lot of people who come to my channel for Halloween Horror Nights content are new to the event and are here to learn and get tips. So I'll give you a little bit of information about Dead Exposure. So as I just said, I have not been in it myself. However, I have friends who are diehards who have told me about it, and in the original house, it was lit only by blacklight and then a strobe that mimicked camera flash. And I've heard that it was terrifying because a zombie would be across the room and then all of a sudden it'd flash and it was right here in your face. So very effective type of scaring. This year's house is going to be set in Paris, and today they started releasing backstory content for it. So I can say that my hype level for this one is very high. I hope the strobe light effect is back. I'm not sure how they're going to incorporate it since the photographer element is out of the picture. Since this is a different set of characters, this is supposed to be a prequel to that house. This is the birth of the zombie virus. So I'm not sure. Hopefully the strobe light effect will still be there. I'm just not sure how they're going to incorporate the reasoning for it. Slaughter Cinema is an entirely new house. It seems to be set in a drive-in movie, and it's centering around multiple original B-style movies that were created by Universal. The artwork for this looks awesome. I'll put some of the posters. Loving the original artwork for this. Really like the concept. Always thrilled when we get an A&D creation. Very interested to see where they take this. So that's it for houses that we know of so far. We know 4 of the 10, and yes, I said 10. There are 10 houses this year. First time ever that there's ever been 10 houses. So we still got 6 house announcements left, but we do have the scare zones. And those are going to be The Harvest, Twisted Traditions, Vamp 85, yep, I'm happy, Chucky, and Killer Clowns. You can probably guess which on the list I'm most excited for. If you've been with my channel for a while, you know I was a huge fan of Vamp 55 2 years ago. And I was definitely not alone in that. Clearly a lot of other people also felt the same way because they had a huge fan following the entire event. I'm super stoked to see Vamp 85. If you're not familiar with the event, Vamp 55 took place in 1955. This one's gonna take place in 1985 on New Year's Eve. This one's gonna be located in New York, so we've got plenty of street room. I hope that they're gonna have the ball for the ball drop for New Year's Eve. Not sure if that'll be there, but what I do know is that there's going to be amazing 80s music playing in this zone, and I am all about that. I can't wait to see the costumes. I can't wait to hear the music. I hope that this cast is prepared to live up to the legends that were in 1955's version. Also, the fact that they're using Back to the Future years is not lost on me. I'm ready for Vamp 1885. Bring it on. The Harvest and Twisted Traditions seem kind of like zones we've already seen at Halloween Horror Nights. However, those are zones that are usually pretty effective. I'm there for it. I'm excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see what costumes they create for those. Those are pretty vague, so we shall see. I think those are going to be in the like Shrek area and Central Park. So then the last 2 zones we have are Chucky, which I believe is going to be in Hollywood, and Killer Clowns, which I think is going to be over near the water by Starbucks on your way to Fast and Furious. I don't think they're having a zone in San Fran this year because Fast and Furious just opened. So that's my thought process. Chucky, look, I'm not a Chucky fan. He's creepy. I don't like the movies. Chucky is not for me. However, the Chucky house in 2009 was a really fun house because it didn't focus just on Chucky. It had all sorts of demented, warped view of toys. If Toy Story went very badly, there was a Barbie with her face melting off, I think, and I remember there were Barrel of Monkeys and Green Army Men. That's what I expect the zone to be. I expect the zone to be full of demented, creepy versions of toys, and then also Chucky. Killer Clowns is hard for me because I've never seen the movie. I realize that it just came out on Hulu, so I plan to watch it. I always do my Halloween Horror Nights homework because it's always a lot better to experience the event if you've seen the IPs. So I do plan on watching Killer Clowns. Maybe I'll talk about that in my next video once I've seen the movie, so I'm not judging unfairly. A little apprehensive on it right now, but I know there's a bunch of Halloween Horror Nights fans out there that are super excited for this. It's been kind of a running joke in the community that every single year Killer Clowns is one of the rumors that gets passed around. So I heard it come up earlier this year. I'm like, oh yeah, right, like, oh yeah, Killer Clowns is coming. And it actually is. So this is the year, it's finally happening. I know a bunch of you out there are excited. I'll watch the movie and get back with you. So quickly, I'm going to run through the other rumored houses. And as far as IPs, that's Poltergeist, Halloween, possibly Halloween 4, a Blumhouse house that's supposedly mainly focused on Happy Death Day. And then we go into more originals, and that's some sort of alien house, some sort of graveyard carnival, and a Scary Tales style house that's based on the Wizard of Oz. Poltergeist is an IP. I have seen the movie. I fear that it will end up like Shining or Exorcist to me, which were decent houses, but very focused on show scenes, and so not a ton of scaring happening, more where you come in a room and you're watching the movie take place before your very eyes, but not really being involved in it. So I worry about that being similar. Guys, I love Halloween. It's my favorite original scary movie. I love Michael Myers. I think he's super effective as a scary person, and I love the soundtrack. I had my own dance to it, although I don't think you guys ever got to see it in the vlog because it was in the house and I couldn't film. But I have a dance to the... Cole, if you're watching this, you know my dance. So we still, Mike and I, quote Halloween 2, the house, all the time, because that, I shot him in the heart, I shot him 6 times. Like, that's iconic. But it's been 4 years, and this would be, I mean, I guess technically 5. This would be the 3rd Halloween house in 5 years, and I love it, but it can be too much of a good thing when you have it this many times so soon, and you just get kind of jaded on it. I'd rather have multiple Halloween houses rather than multiple Walking Dead houses, so if my options are that, I'll take Halloween any day. I'll still have fun in it, most likely, and I'll get to dance to the song again, but I just wish we wouldn't repeat the IPs so soon. Happy Death Day, haven't seen that one yet, that's on my homework. Really liked the Blumhouse house last year, shockingly. Is it safe to guess that this one's in tent 3 again and that's just the Blumhouse tent? I don't know, but I'll watch the movie first, comment on it later. Hopefully it's not a repeat of The Purge and Insidious yet again. As far as the originals, the Scary Tales Oz thing takes me back to 2008 again, because 2008 had a Wizard of Oz scare zone that had flying monkeys. They actually had people on bungees in between like Shrek and where Despicable Me is now. And they had people up on the bungees swinging back and forth above the guests. Yet again, this is why I have major regrets about not being at Halloween Horror Nights 18. So because of that zone, I think turning that into a full house would be amazing. It could just turn out to be another Scary Tales house and it's not just purely Oz. We'll see. I have not seen either Scary Tales house, so I would be excited to go through a similar one with new lore. Graveyard Carnival? Have no idea what that means. Sounds intriguing. I'm down for some creepy carnies. I don't know, it's hard to tell from that description what kind of the villain is. However, I could see a full house devoted to carnival settings. If you have some rides in there, it'd be amazing. So really interested to see what that one's going to be, what the villain's going to be. And then the last one is an alien house, and I believe the code name for this one is Meteor. So that gives me the impression that we've had like a UFO crash landing. The rumors have it described as more of like an Annihilation style alien house. Not my lovely invasion aliens from last year, but an actual more serious alien house. And I'm totally there for that description. I mean, I love my invasion aliens. I love the goofy 50s sci-fi aliens, but the idea of a more serious alien house that's not Creatures from 2008 does sound really intriguing to me. Now we've gone through the news and the rumors. We're gonna talk about the theme. The theme for this year is all based on the 80s. I mean, I love the 90s too, but I don't know that it gets any more perfect of a theme for me. That 80s feel in Stranger Things, you're gonna get it in Poltergeist. You're going to get it in, I believe Halloween 4 took place in the 80s. Vamp 85. Dead Exposure 2 is taking place in 1982. So there's going to just be a thread of the 80s going through the event. And I want to commend the design team for finally having a themed website again. It's been a while. We had games and such on the website in 2011 and 2012, but pretty much as soon as Walking Dead came in, themed websites went out, which was a big bummer to all of us because the websites used to be really intricate and they had all sorts of puzzles and mysteries and information and story. So to see a little tidbit of that back this year between the website having an actual 80s theme and getting a little bit of backstory today regarding dead exposure, I'm crossing my fingers that this means really good things for this event. Like, it just has a good vibe to it so far, and I don't like to get my hopes up too high. I'm pretty hyped based on the website and today's content. So it's just a good sign that the creative team is getting a little more into the marketing again, and hopefully that's a good sign moving forward for the future. So I'm gonna leave a link down in the description to Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights Twitter page so you can follow along with what I'm talking about next. But today they started releasing postcards that are sent from Paris to various people living in Cary, Ohio, and they seem to be leading up to an event that we know happened, and that is the outbreak in Paris in 1982 that we're going to experience in Dead Exposure 2. For the non-diehards out there, to help get you absorbed into the Horror Nights lore, Cary, Ohio is a scary dang place that no one should ever go because only bad things come out of Cary, Ohio. I'm pretty sure the Slaughter Cinema is located in Cary, Ohio. Most of your icons are from Cary, Ohio. Pretty much if you see Cary, Ohio, you know you're supposed to run. This girl who's writing the postcards is from Cary, Ohio, writing postcards back home. And clearly the Cary, Ohio curse has followed her to Paris, because I hate to tell her, but she's about to be right in the middle of a zombie outbreak. Okay, so I just went back on Twitter again, and I can't even fully talk about this because they just posted another new postcard. So I assume by the time this video goes up that the thread will probably be cut off for the time being, so definitely go check it out. It's really fascinating. You're getting some backstory on one person's experience leading up to the events that are going to probably take place in the house, or the events that have already taken place before we get into the house. And this is why diehards like myself love the originals, because getting original content, getting a completely original story that you're learning about months before the event, it's like getting brand new fiction to take in. It's original horror that's created specifically for the event. And I can understand people who are new to the event not quite understanding that, because that aspect has been lacking in the past 5 years, pretty much ever since Walking Dead. This aspect, this fan interaction, this information that you can gather if you are truly interested in the event, that was there long before the IPs really took over. And that's why Horror Nights, I feel like, has such like a solid fan base. It's because of this content. So makes me excited to see them do it again. I hope it's a trend. I hope it's a good sign of what's to come in the future, because this makes me really excited and really happy, and my soul is full today learning about the zombies that are about to eat this poor girl. I'm pretty sure her boyfriend's already turned. Oh yeah, her boyfriend's gone. It's not good. Sorry, Emily. I think Greg's a goner. Pretty sure Greg's a zombie. So with that said, if you aren't already following Halloween Horror Nights on Twitter, I recommend it if you're interested in this kind of thing, because apparently that is the method of releasing this kind of content this year, and you should definitely follow along because it's really fun. So I did get a few questions when I put out on Twitter and Instagram that I was going to be filming this video. I would say the main two topics that were mentioned were absolute must-knows for first-timers, what not to miss out on, and then tips for 2018. So if this is going to be your first ever Halloween Horror Nights, first off, I'm going to link to the top 5 tips video that I created last year, because that information should all still be true, and that's a good base to start your Halloween Horror Nights education on prepping for the event. Specific for this year, I would say that it's going to be a really busy year. I could be completely judging this incorrectly, but because of Stranger Things, I think this is going to be massively packed. If nothing else, then Stranger Things line is going to be massively packed. So for first timers, I would say get there early, get inside the gates as soon as you can. If you can afford Express, then go that route, but I know the Express is really expensive, so if you can't, then Get there early, and like I think I mentioned this in the top 5 tips, but get there early and stay late. You can hold off through the crowds until the end. That's when the lines are the shortest. But the middle portion, that chunk of time, probably from about 8 p.m. until like 11 p.m. is going to be brutal for lines, I'm pretty sure. And Bill and Ted's is gone, so there's only going to be, in theory, one show, and that's Academy of Villains. That's going to be where Bill and Ted used to take place in Fear Factor stage thing. Fear Factor Arena, whatever it's called, that which I thought was getting torn down, which is a thought why Bill and Ted wasn't coming back this year, but it remains, and Academy of Villains has gotten moved there, so your guess is as good as mine as to what that means. But there's been rumors floating that there's going to be a second show. There was another casting that went out, and it was specifically casting dancers and such, so it sounds like there might be another show that they're adding, maybe on the stage where Academy of Villains was before. We'll see as far as that pans out as they announce it. It's going to be very hard to see everything in one night this year. And previous years I've said you can do it all in one night if you plan accordingly. If you plan well, you can do it all in one night. If you do stay and scream, you can do it all in one night. I can't promise that this year with 10 houses. I think it's going to be really busy, and 10 houses is going to be hard to see everything with one night. So my big tip I would say for first timers is try to plan for 2 nights if you can. If you're only going to be there for one night, I think you really need to evaluate and prioritize and try to see the houses that you most want to see. And if that is Stranger Things, my recommendation would be to wait until the end of the night. Because if you go to Stranger Things first off, or anytime early in the night, you're going to be in line for a really long time, would be my guess. And you're going to miss out on a lot of the event. So I would say try to see as much as you can and then get in line in Stranger Things. I'm not saying get in line at 12:55 if the event ends at 1, because everyone who's a scare actor would be like, Liz, why? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, prioritize, do some other things in the park. Don't spend 5 hours waiting in line for one house. You're not going to have a good time. You're going to leave saying that this is a waste. Don't do that. Or do that, and then you won't be in line with me at the other houses. My must-dos for the event, if you're able, if you're there for more than one night, don't think that going through a house once means that you've done it. If you're there for multiple nights, I always recommend going into a house more than once. Go in as many times as you can, because there are 2 casts for every house. Each cast is going to be different, and some of these houses are timing based. You can go through and miss an entire scene, didn't know it was there. You go through the house a second time, you get to see it, and you're like, whoa, where was that the first time? That's why we can go 5 nights, 6 nights, 15 nights when I lived there and not get bored of it, because every single time you go through a house, you're going to see something different. You can take in more details of the set. Typically the first time I go through, I'm pretty scared. The second time I go through, I'm a little more comfortable, and then I can take in more of the scenery and actually look around and look for little details, which they do like to put a lot of Easter eggs in these houses, so the more times you go through, the more likely you're going to see that. My other thing I would say for first timers that you must do is take some time to actually spend in scare zones. I know if you only have one night, that's probably not possible because you're going to be zooming to get to each house and you're not going to have a ton of time to kill. But if you have multiple nights, I recommend spending some time in a scare zone. Find a bench, or if you're brave, just kind of stand off on the side and watch the actors scare. It's hilarious watching other people get scared. And typically, if you kind of are observing, the actors generally notice that someone's just kind of hanging out and not moving on, and you'll probably get some really good interactions. That said, don't try to go after the actors in that case. I typically stand off on a curb somewhere and just let them come to me. Don't chase down actors or anything. That's not gonna do you any good. But watching other people get scared and watching the actors do their thing is one of my favorite parts of the event. It's just hilarious watching other people get scared. And some of these actors, they give so much energy to this, and it's just a blast watching them work and watching them just absolutely love what they do. So highly recommend some scare zone camping. Someone else asked for tips for 2018, as in my strategy for 2018, and I can't really comment on that yet until the actual map is released. So once that's released, then I will film a tips video specific for 2018 to talk about what I think will be the best strategy to hit the houses and any other information that I think is pertinent to 2018. And I will talk about the stay and scream opportunities and all that kind of stuff once the map is released, and I can give you more information. Right now it's all just speculation because even though we have the houses announced, they haven't announced locations. So if you have other questions about Halloween Horror Nights 2018 that you want me to include in that video, you can go ahead and leave them down below. I'll save them for that video. But this probably won't be the last chit-chatty Halloween Horror Nights video I do before then because we still got 6 houses to be announced, so yes. So I am ready for all the 80s goodness that's going to be Halloween Horror Nights 28. I am happy to say that most of my friends have been recast for 2018, so most of the characters that you guys are familiar with from my previous vlogs are back. There's a few that are waiting. They changed the audition process this year, so it's been kind of nerve-wracking. But I have a few who are still waiting on word, so everyone send some positive vibes out to those friends who are still waiting to hopefully get their maybe reversed to a yes, because I will be really sad if they don't get cast. So everyone send some positive vibes to them. Thumbs up for 80s goodness, and leave me a comment down below telling me what you're most excited for out of either the announced houses or the rumors that I just talked about. So I'll be back with some more Halloween Horror Nights content once some more announcements have been made. So if you're interested in Halloween Horror Nights news and chat, go ahead and subscribe down below and tell me how many years you've been going to Halloween Horror Nights, or if this is your first year coming up and you're planning. If you have any questions, let me know. So with that, I'm signing off. Hope to see you guys in the fog come September, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.